Hello and welcome to the two-man power trip of wrestling. I'm your host, JP John Paz. With me today are two very special guests, former AEW Tag Team Champions, three-time WWE Tag Team Champions, two-time NXT Tag Team Champions, AAA Tag Team Champions, top guys, living legends, the greatest team on God's green earth, FTR, Dax, and Cash. Welcome to the two-man power trip. How you guys doing?
Not too bad. You also forgot the first ever number one ranked tag team in PW history. Match of the year 2016, tag team of the year 2016. But hey, I'll let all that slide.
Who's counting? You know.
First, though, I got to mention this to Dax because it was the 25th anniversary last week of Bret versus Austin at WrestleMania 13. You versus CM Punk was probably my favorite match of the year, old school style. Maybe the two biggest Bret Hart fans, besides me, the two biggest Bret Hart fans going. What was that like with that match? Because man, that was old school, good wrestling. Loved it, every bit of it.
Yeah. So it was a coincidence that that match fell on the 25th anniversary in Austin, Texas. There's a lot of the magic that I don't like to give away in wrestling. I feel that sometimes a lot of wrestlers are still a little too loose lip about it because it makes it seem like it's too easy. But that match is very, very special to me for a lot of reasons behind the scenes. I'm so proud of that match and what we accomplished and what we were able to accomplish. In contrast to wrestling today, to a lot of wrestling matches today, there were zero dives. We went to the floor once, and my thought was we're going to go to the floor. And when we do go to the floor, it's going to change the tide of the match and make it mean something. And a lot of fans and wrestlers too, I'm not just talking about blaming the fans here, but they all talk about storytelling and they call wrestling an art. And it's because those two are buzzwords. To me, it's not buzzwords. That match, again, patting myself on the back, that match was the perfect. I don't want to say perfect because that's too egotistical, but that match was storytelling. That was exactly what storytelling was supposed to be without it just being a buzzword. But I appreciate the sentiment and I appreciate you saying that.
And Cash, you're right there. You were at ringside. Didn't interfere, of course, because you got to keep it straight up. But what did you think? Great match.
Like I told him, and I've told everybody that'll listen. Basically, like it's a match that I think that people that are in wrestling that say they want to be good and they want to be great and they don't want to just be play wrestlers. And I don't think enough people understand what that means. But a lot of people nowadays play wrestler, and that match was one where neither one of those guys had to play wrestler. They felt everything they were doing. They believed in everything they were doing. They put emotion into it. They weren't just going through the motions. They weren't just going from A to B to C because it's what they had discussed. As much as I don't like going into some of the things like Dax said, right. But to just feel it and to just go out there and to have a match where you came off the top twice. One was a superplex and the diving headbutt, one miss, one connection. But the superplex, they built to it and they teased this and teased that, and it was back and forth and it meant something. And like you said, when they went to the floor, it changed the tide of the match. It meant something, and everything meant something. There was nothing they did just so they could say, oh, I got this move that I really need to get in. And you see that so often now. And I could go on and on and on, and I probably will go on a little bit longer, but you see so many people that they're given this much amount of time and they get this much in. And it makes the match bad because of it, because there's no emotion behind anything. There's no feeling behind anything. It's just trying to speed through what you have to get everything in so you can show off your tricks. And that's not what it comes down to. So I think that's a match that should be studied. It's a match that aspiring wrestlers and wrestlers that have been doing this for a long time should watch to better themselves, because I know that I've watched it a couple times now, more than I'd like to admit. And every time I see something that I'm like, man, how do they do it that good? I wish I want to do that. Why couldn't I think of this? So yeah, it's something that no matter what skill level you are, even if you're not even in the business, if you're just a fan and you appreciate the art of wrestling, because that's what art of wrestling is, not my gymnastics routine is art. So that's what it should be, and that's what should be studied. So just like that 25-year class that we just celebrated, I think hopefully this match should be living on up there in 25 years.
And to put a bow on it, I
Absolutely.
appreciate all the kind words that my best friend said about me. But to put a bow on it, that night, we're a big stickler for this. We made the people feel. They didn't feel for our moves. They didn't have an emotional attachment to our moves, emotional attachment to the two wrestlers that were trying to win a match. That's all. And that's what wrestling should be.
Let's focus in on upcoming match against the Briscoe brothers, of course. ROH, Ring of Honor. They're going to have their Super Card of Honor Friday, and it's going to be April 1st. Really, it's going to be a huge, huge show. Dax, I guess we'll start with you. Briscoe brothers, man, I've been following their career since 2002. I mean, I've known these guys 20 years. They're one of the best tag teams in the world since that, inception, really 20 years ago. What are your thoughts with this dream match? I know people throw that around, dream match and whatever. I mean, essentially, it's a dream match for the fans.
Yeah, and humility again aside, it is. You have the opportunity to see two tag teams who are two of the greatest tag teams, definitely of the generation, but arguably two of the greatest tag teams of all time. And you have the opportunity one time to see it for the first time, and that's in Dallas. So that should be celebrated. That should be something they should be looking forward to. I know I'm looking forward to it. Those guys have a lot of parallels and a lot of similarities to me and Cash, but also there are differences as well. We have the same mindset when it comes to matches. We have the same thought process. But they're from Delaware and we're from Carolina. We're Carolina boys, and we think we're a little tougher than they are, and they think they're tougher than we are. But ultimately, it comes down to who thinks who was the best. And I think that on a shoot, they think they're better than us. We've met them, one time before, and it was different pleasantries. But I think they really think they're better at tag team wrestling than we are. And that kind of gets me a little bit. That takes it from business to personal, back to business maybe, because, I pride myself, we both do, on being the greatest tag team and working harder than everybody else to prove that we are the best. So Ring of Honor on April the 1st, Super Card of Honor, we got a lot to prove. And winning those Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships will cement our legacy, I think.
Yeah, when I was just an aspiring little Cash trying to break into the wrestling business, not even, having ever stepped foot inside of wrestling ring at this point, the first Ring of Honor DVD I ever bought had Jay Briscoe in a singles match, and Mark wasn't even at this time like booked to be wrestling. He was too young. So I've literally been watching them since before I broke into wrestling. And then 2014, Dax and I got paired together in NXT after pushing forward as much as we could and planning on it for years while I was not even in NXT or signed to a contract. We would just touch base and see how things were going and say, like, eventually this is what we want. And then it happened. We made that work. And ever since then, we've just been trying to outwork every other team that we have heard about, that we've been employed with, that is anywhere in the world. We want to step foot in the ring with them, and we want to prove ourselves, because like he was saying in a different interview, we had a very competitive relationship with American Alpha, but it was a good competition because it brought out the best of each team, because we wanted to outwork the other team. And we bring that mentality to every match with anybody. So if they can't step up and match that mentality, they're going to get eaten alive, because we're not going to back down for anybody. We don't take our foot off the gas for anybody. We go out there and we try to break you down mentally before you ever break down physically, because you can't keep up with us. And the Briscoe brothers, that's 100% legitimate. We want you to break down mentally, not knowing if you can even take another step before you even have to worry about taking another step. But when it comes to the Briscoe brothers, I've legitimately watched them since before I stepped foot in a wrestling ring. And now Dax and I, we have taken over tag team wrestling, and we have done things that no other team has ever accomplished. And we've wrestled teams across the board, from Rock and Roll Express to Top Flight, guys that every era, every team that's ever been considered something that's still possible for us to step foot in the ring with, we want to. And the top of that list for us right now is the Briscoe brothers, and it's something we've pushed for a long time, and we didn't think was going to be able to happen in the foreseeable future. And it's happening, Friday. April 1st in Dallas, Super Card of Honor, and it's for the Ring of Honor Tag Team titles, some titles that Dax and I have always wanted to hold, and that's going to be the first team ever to hold the titles that we've held for the largest companies, and that's something that means just as much to us.
It'd be amazing to put on the resume too, right? Yeah, Ring of Honor tag champs as well. It's funny, you guys talking about like you want to be the best tag team ever. You're up there right now, obviously,
An
probably the best tag
unmatched
team wrestling.
resume.
Think about this. I was talking to Arn, my buddy Arn Anderson. I asked him, I said, what do you think of FTR? And he said, they're like me and Tully, but they're actually better. I was shocked that he said that just because I love Arn and Tully.
Don't
But
tell
Dax,
the fans that, because
oh,
they'll never believe that we're
they'll
the
kill you.
best.
But he did. He said, he goes, they're better than us. But Dax, why do you think Arn would say that? What do you think Arn's coming from? Maybe Arn's making a play for your manager, maybe.
No, I don't think so. Arn has no reason to want to manage us or put us over. I mean,
Arn was telling us that when we were not on TV for WWE and only doing live events and having live event matches, and we would come back and Arn was producing main events for pay-per-views and would still tell us things like that because he's just the best you could think of.
He's the enforcer on Anderson. There's no reason for him to have to blow smoke for anybody. But I think he says that because he sees our work ethic and also our longevity. 8 years is a long time in professional wrestling. Him and Tully were only a tag team for a handful of years, maybe 2. And so I think that he sees that. And if him and Tully maybe were together for 8 years to a decade, maybe there would be a closer comparison. And the comparison is close. But I think the reason that he thinks we're the greatest is because of our longevity, the resume of matches we have, the resume of championships we've had, the resume of talent we've worked with. Like Cash was saying earlier, we're the only team to work with the New Day, Usos, Hardy Boys, DIY, American Alpha, Young Bucks, SCU, Proud and Powerful, and Rock and Roll Express, all
Hardy Boys.
Till this Friday night, the Briscoe brothers. There's no other team that can say they worked with and they wrestled the caliber of tag teams that we have, and we beat them all. We beat them all, and we've held championships in every single company. So, it kind of fires me up a little bit that the Briscoes again think they're better than us, and I think it upsets them maybe that they've been eclipsed. Dan was saying, or excuse me, Cash was saying he'd watched them his whole, when he was younger before he got in wrestling, and they were at one time considered the greatest tag team. Now we've eclipsed them. And if Arn Anderson, possibly the greatest tag team wrestler of all time, says FTR is the best, I don't know how you can argue with him.
Not arguing with him. Cash, though, obviously Tully's out of the picture. Arn's buddies, Horseman member, former tag partner, talking about them being one of the greatest tag teams ever. You guys fired him. What was the reason there? Why is Tully gone? Why is my buddy Tully gone from the team?
It's like I said to Tony Schiavone, like if you lose focus, you lose your job at this point. We need something that's going to make sure that we are at the top. And since we've lost the AEW World Tag Team titles, that's the top, and we're not there right now. So when Tully came in, he was laser focused, and he gave us this edge, and he gave us these ideas, and he had this knowledge that was untapped, and it got us over the hump. We won the AEW Tag Team titles thanks to Tully. But I feel like when we didn't immediately get that rematch and we weren't champions for over a year, like he goes where the gold is. And I don't think that's, Dax and I, we're family. We say, he's my brother. We don't have to be related to be family, And so if you're not part of the family, if you're not looking out for the well-being of each other, then it's about more than money than to us. That's something we've always kind of said. Like, it's not about the money. It's about the legacy. It's about the people that you meet along the way. And I never would have, imagined the friendship that we have now and the things that we've accomplished after all these years. And I'm not going to risk that for anybody, no matter how much I look up to you, no matter how much I respect you. If you put that at risk, there's nowhere for you.
Yeah, I think ultimately our relationship personally and professionally ran its course with Tully. That's not to say that he's not a valuable asset. He is a huge asset to professional wrestling. I even wish that younger talent would step up, older talent as well, would step up and ask him questions and pick his brain, because we learned so much from him. But I believe, like I just said, our relationship has ran its course. It's time for us to move on. It's time for him to move on as well. We were stagnant. We were staying. We were just flatlining. And I never, ever, ever want us to flatline. That's why we left WWE, because we were flatlining, and we would have stayed right there. Tag team wrestling has flatlined there as well, and we wanted to go up. So
I mean, it's no hard feelings, obviously, because if it was, we would have given him his own spike pile driver and left him laying. You know,
right.
we gave him the easy way out. So that should show you how much we respect Tully, even now that we're not officially working together.
Now, obviously, the rumors are swirling that you guys may be looking for another manager. Bret Hart's name, obviously, because synonymous with this guy, Bret Hart. Remember him? Yeah. The best there is, best there was, best there ever will be.
Mm-hmm.
Rumors are swirling. His name is out there. Dax, what do you think? Is that a possibility? Is that a dream? Is that just rumors swirling around that Bret could possibly be a manager of FTR?
So anything's a possibility. I mean, this is professional wrestling. You know, there's nothing out of the question in professional wrestling. I think AEW is the hot ticket right now. We're the hot new shiny toy, and we're delivering every single week. I'm very proud of this company. I'm very proud of where I work. But as far as Bret Hart managing us, of course, that would be a dream. It would be a dream for me just to have him be there, share his knowledge in ring and outside the ring knowledge with us. I don't know if I could hold my emotions back every single night. I might cry every single night if he were there. And you know, a lot of people call me a mark online, and that is totally fine. But they don't know how much the man, the human being, the character of Bret Hart, literally saved my life many, many, many times. I want to be him. I want to be just like him, and I want to touch lives just like he did, and I want to make people feel just like he did. So yes, of course, it is rumors. Are there truth to the rumors? I don't know. Maybe you have to wait just like everybody else, I guess.
Cash, what do you think, Bret? Would that be a dream, or is that just maybe a pipe dream?
I mean, anything getting to work with Bret would be a dream at this point, just because he's a guy that we've looked up to. He's the guy we admire and have so much respect for. He's helped guide our careers without even knowing it, to the point that it's probably the basis of this friendship.
That's how it started.
Yeah, so it is. It's how it started, and Bret's he's that guy that, like Dax said, he's touched lives. So for us to be able to say that. There's been so many legends that we've lost in the past couple of years that I would have loved to have gotten a chance to work with. Like, we never got to work with Bobby Eaton, stuff like that. Like, I don't want to miss out on those anymore. So if there's a chance that, even if it's just for one night or it's just backstage where he's talking to us, giving advice, that's cool with me. Like, I don't know whatever could be possible, and I'm not gonna add any fuel to that fire. But even if it's just a one night thing where he's backstage hanging out, just giving advice to people, that would be cool. Just to get to work with Bret and let him know how much he's influenced us, even though he already knows because we talk about it nonstop.
Did he text me before the CM Punk match and tell me he was very excited to watch?
Maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. I do know that Bret's in Dallas this weekend. Not anything for us. I don't want to start rumors. He's there for appearances. But I would love, and I texted him today. That's how I know. We were texting while I was at the gym. And I would love if this is the only thing we ever get to do, Cash and I get to do with him, I'd love to just buy him a beer and talk to him. That would be perfect to me and put a bow on my career.
Favorite Bret match for me, I was at WrestleMania 10, so Bret Owen WrestleMania 10 is I don't know, the top to me. It's awesome. King of the Ring 93 should have been 5 stars. That's a different story, different day. Versus Mr.
Doesn't
Perfect.
matter. It was 5 stars.
Yeah, awesome. And WrestleFest 94, Steiners versus Hearts. Those are my 3 faves.
I've watched all 3 of those within the last 2 weeks, and it happens. I mean, I do it all the time. He is the most consistent wrestler. He's the wrestler that I can watch, not even because I'm in love with him, because I can just watch and learn from him every single time I watch his matches over and over again. The Steiners match is freaking incredible. That's a clash of styles. It was beautiful. Him and Perfect, I think Perfect had something to prove there. SummerSlam 91, he was hurt a little bit. Yeah. Bret had something to prove as well because Hogan took his place. And I think Kurt wanted to show, hey, I can still fucking go if you let me. And they put on a hell. That's the one match, that and the kid match. are the
Yes.
two
Yep.
watch over and over and over and over again and never get tired of it. Obviously, Owen is a classic. My favorite of all time is Bret versus Shawn at WrestleMania 12. A lot of people think it's boring, but that's because they don't have a brain. My idea is the physicality, the storytelling, the emotion, and the competition. The two guys were in a competition with each other, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah, I just watched Bret and Owen the other night, and I
Give me a
tweeted him a picture of it. And then I was watching what else? I've been watching a lot of Bret lately. Big surprise. I think everybody has, because it's been all over social media. Everybody's just been on a huge kick. I was watching King of the Ring '93. Actually, that was the other one I watched. I haven't watched WrestleFest recently. I was watching WrestleMania 20 last night because Dax was talking about it with me the other day. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch. I ended up watching like half the show last night, well into the night. But yeah, I think Bret and Owen was so good, but I think personal favorite is King of the Ring '93.
And Dr. Tom and Brett have an awesome TV match. Just
Yeah.
I tweeted
on
about
Raw.
that.
Yep. Go awesome match.
I went and found that match because you tweeted about it.
That's great. Now with you guys, I'm thinking like Rock and Roll Express, Midnight Express. The guys wrestled 100 times, 1,000,000 times. They wrestled each other. Great feud. What a rivalry. Feels like you guys versus Young Bucks could be that again, or should be that. They're always considered the second or third greatest tag team, like kind of behind you guys. They're always in the mix, though. Is that something on your mind? Like, because that should be that Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express rivalry. You have hundreds of matches. You guys only wrestled once.
Yeah, that's absolutely been on our mind. And that's what we came to AEW for. That's what we thought. And we got here and had one match with them, tore the house down, and then we never heard from them again for a year and a half. Whenever you're in competition with the bosses and the bosses understand you're here, but they position themselves right here, that gets a little heated backstage. So me and Cash both thought we were going to have multiple matches with them and change the world of tag team wrestling. But I think that would put too much of a spotlight on us and maybe take a little bit away from them. So we haven't heard from them since November of 2020. I wish somebody could tell me why.
Yeah, when you have guys like Arn and Edge and Randy Orton and CM Punk and Sting and all these guys that tell you you're the best, then your bosses have to overcompensate just a little bit. So they might avoid you for roughly 18 months, 19 months and counting, just because they know that we won't make the same mistakes twice and that the fluke won't happen again. And if we ever step foot in the ring together again, we're going to expose them. Like we said earlier, like we want to make people break mentally before they ever break physically. And that's going to be increased tenfold when we're in there with them because we have something to prove.
Hey, PR John, don't tell Tony we said this on the podcast. Okay. Just let it come out. And let
Now, as we, head towards the finish, we head towards the wind down here. What's next for FTR? What can we expect? I know, obviously, Supercard of Honor, Briscoes, but besides that, what's next for you guys?
Scarface, the world, and everything in it.
Yeah. Ultimately, I've said ultimately 3 times during this interview, but at the end of the day, we want to be the greatest of all time to ever do it. Professional wrestling has been, I've said it many times before, has been good to both of us, and now it's time for us to give back. And I feel like we've done a great job of giving back, but there's more that we want to do and more we want to give. The AEW World Tag Team Championships is the most prestigious tag team championships in all of wrestling, bar none. I'm not just saying that because I work for them, but look at the caliber of tag teams from the Hardy Boys all the way down to, like Cash said, top flight. I mean, and all in the middle, everybody is great. So wanting to be the tag team champions, that's our goal. But man, there's so many other things we want to do too. We want to work with the greatest tag teams we've never had a chance to. Like in Beckley, West Virginia, we get to work with the American Wolves, and we're going to prove to them that we're way better than they ever were. IWGP World Tag Team Championships, we want those to add to our resume, because when we have those and when we get the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships on Friday night, there is no discussion. There's no more debate. We are the most decorated and greatest tag team of all time. That's our goal.
Yeah, we want to as many prestigious titles as we can earn, and we don't want to get the bingo hall titles. We don't want the PWGs, right. Nothing like that. We want Ring of Honor. We want IWGP. We want AAA for as long as we want to hold. We want first ever 2-time AEW World Tag Team Champions. We want to be draped in gold. Like we say it every interview, every tweet, whatever we put out there. It's always that we're living legends, that we're chasing our legacy, we're building our legacy, and like that's kind of what I've labeled us now as legacy chasers. Like we're out here, like we want to give back to wrestling, yes, but we're not ready to pass the torch either. So we want to work with the legends. We want to work with the young up and coming tag teams and help make tag team wrestling better, wrestling in general better. But make no mistake, I'm only 34. We can wrestle as long as we feel like it. It's just how long do we feel like it?
Right.
But while we're here and while we're active, we're going for everything. Like we're not just here to be placeholders and kind of pass the torch and help elevate everybody else around us. We're also here to elevate ourselves to being the greatest tag team that's ever done it, where it's not even an argument anymore, but it's just legitimate fact. When people can ask, like, who do you say? And it's going to be unanimous. FTR.
And make a shit ton of money while doing it.
Of course, like we said, versus the Briscoe Brothers Friday night, 4/1, April 1st, Super Card of Honor. And of course, see you guys each and every week on AEW Dynamite and Rampage. But Dax, Cash, the greatest team on God's green earth, top guys, living legends, legacy chasers. Thank you so much for all the time. Really appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.